ladder of God be given to me. Let the ladder of Seth be given to me, that I may ascend on it to the sky and escort Re as a divine guardian of those who have gone to their doubles. Unquote. Unquote. The first clue that made me begin to seriously consider that Esau was Set, and was a true Vishnu-type parallel thus, was actually his physical description and its similarity to the description of Vrika in the Vedas, the son of Varaha Vishnu. Esau is described as hairy and red in Genesis 25:25, and he is only called Edom, meaning red. Meanwhile, red and hairy matches the description of the wolf or Vrika in the Vedas themselves, as Vedic Index of Names and Subjects reads, quote, Vrika, or wolf, is mentioned frequently in the Rig Veda and also later. It was an enemy of sheep and of calves, being dangerous even to men. Its color is stated to be reddish, arunya, unquote. So Esau right away reminds of the Vishnu-related wolf of the Vedas, Vrika. This aligns with Set as well.
Who knows
Set
how
being
that
closely
happened?
associated
Yeah,
with
all
the
that shit.
redness of the desert. And also
Them trying to
red
fuck me
jelly.
up
Set
when it was going the other way
red
around.
Skin and possibly red fur or hair, though this is vague in primary sources. And red-haired enemies
Consciously, with technology. Let me look uglier than ever.
by some scholars as his followers. Ancient
Like I'm still high on drugs.
quote,
All time and all time, all time. So when people, yes, they can justify their methods when half of them are meth heads.
Meaning the red place. He represented the fierce, dry heat of the sun as it parched the land.
And I am not.
Fertile like the desert, unquote. Cuchulainn, of course, has red hair, but only in its middle layer.
Never really was. Not like that.
Darker,
Never.
But
Not
it
quite.
is still partly red. Reading Esau as possibly Set Vishnu sets up his opponent Jacob as a possible Horus/Mitra. This starts to make a bit of sense because Horus and the Mitra type generally are the late coming sovereigns who culminate the succession of divine kings in themselves and bring a new kind of perfected balance to the throne of the gods. Jacob, as the younger brother of Esau, is in the role of the late comer, and when looked at within the sequence of the patriarchs, he does culminate the process initiated by Abraham, this culmination being marked by Jacob being identified with the nation of Israel itself in the climax of his story. In this context, the fact that Esau is described as rough of appearance, while Jacob is contrasted with him as smooth and described as perfect or a complete man, makes good sense. This opposition
He's not even ex-military or anything like that. He's just
duality between Set and Horus. Horus perfecting and completing the kingship and the Ennead of gods in himself. This concept also perfectly explains Jacob's name, meaning supplanter, as the Horus/Mitra type is the latecomer, who thus supplants all previous sovereigns.
You can't even take half the shit I said, anybody at that point, seriously. Because I didn't mean anybody. I don't even know why I said it. And alone, I was a different fucking person, and I knew it.
Them as he replaces them. Of interest might be the fact that Jacob grabs Esau's heel while they are in the womb together. This could simply be a symbol of Jacob's eventual supplanting action, but it is fascinating that the Vishnu type is sometimes associated with
I'm antisocial, not a psychopath.
as if this is their vulnerable spot. Krishna, avatar of Vishnu, is shot in the foot, leading to his demise.
Which we do not recognize anymore. In my opinion, yeah, it's the social ones who are evil like that, who are really fucking evil.
Curiously, Achilles is held by
I just share totally different values than you do. So you want to label me as this and that and the other thing. When you guys actually don't mind, when people are out there getting tortured to death.
It's possible to theorize that Achilles has both Vishnu and Indra motifs.
Or imprisoned for, a cigarette.
Indra type motif that would explain this heel wounding, for instance. So it very well could be a Vishnu type motif. This is an odd similarity, then, where Achilles is held by the heel upon birth, while Esau is grabbed by the heel before birth, both moments symbolizing and foreshadowing the eventual overthrow of the boy in adulthood. What is odd about this if it is not a mere coincidence, is the fact that Set has no heel-grabbing motif I'm aware of, and instead we have to look to Vedic and Greek parallels to find something similar. That is, unless there were more versions of Set's story available to the biblical authors at the time, a real possibility that we will have to keep firmly in mind as we go through. An incredible number of texts have been lost from the ancient world, and these could have had any of the odd details that we find now only in Indo-European parallels and can't now explain well. When we come to the details of Jacob and Esau's contendings for the inheritance of their father, and with this perspective as a foundation, the parallel really falls into place. To begin with the most uncanny piece, Jacob's mother, like Horace's, is the one who leads the charge, has the idea to trick her son's opponent, specifically with an offer of food. And this offer of food is what leads to that opponent undermining his own right to the contested inheritance, and specifically verbal. Isis turns into a hag to offer food to the ferryman to get close to Seth, who she then undermines verbally, having him condemn his own right to Horus's claim with his own words. And she is also the one who gives her son Horus the scheme to put his semen on Seth's lettuce, so that he will eat it and again be undermined. She is the one who literally causes her son's semen to go onto the lettuce. So she is the one behind the plot of two separate food offer tricks toward the same end. Much like the semen lettuce.
See, you guys do now, but you guys are selfish about your fucking stuff. Even your guys' names. I mean, Garfield.
And then to offer it to Esau in exchange for his birthright. So this pottage might be seen as combining some of both of the food offer motifs from Isis into one event, with her as the plotting advisor and her son carrying out the trick. Regardless,
we're going to go to bed.
Similar to one or both of the food tricks of Isis and Horus. Once again, an interesting piece as the pottage that tempts and undermines Esau is described as red stuff, heavily emphasizing the connection of the color to Esau's own well-established color, red. There is no established link between Set and the food offered by Isis to the ferryman, or between Set and the semen lettuce.
See, my friends don't even know my other side of the family.
Other than the fact that
at all.
The lettuce is described as Set's own lettuce from his garden, and Set had tried to use his own semen as an attack on Horus first, so he has been connected to some of his own.
I don't know those people at all.
In the same story.
I don't know.
But in the Gaelic version of the story, Cuchulainn is actually offered food that is directly reflective of his own self. He is the Hound of Ulster, and thus he is partially a hound. And he is offered hound meat, which is taboo to him since the hound is his animal. This would be like eating some of his own self or his own inner essence, and it thus inflicts magical damage on him due to the breaking of such a taboo.
And some people do not recognize
Similarly,
that I love my cat like that. You really think that I do that after that?
Connected to his own symbolic essence by its red color. Once again, red is the color of the
Vedic earth
itself, Fricka. So it is.
You're thinking about me, asshole? You should go to prison for it, I guess.
As similar to
being fucking retarded.
The meat of the actual hound, which symbolizes himself. Again, nothing in particular connects the food offers given to Set to his own essence in the same way, at least in existing versions of his tale. Maybe there was a version that did connect him to the food. We don't know. We must consider then.
They didn't understand my explanation for how this should happen.
Of Set
I was just making it up.
Might have existed in lost variants that the Bible authors knew. Regardless, the tricky offer of the food to undermine the opponent, especially driven by the mother, marks an uncanny parallel between
hypnosis, most of it. Yeah, I was trying to set us all up a long time ago. Based on
far more. With these
background and
with some
ethnicity, even
knowledge of the Egyptian story, I realized that the scene of Isaac
giving
his blessings to Jacob
I knew what I was doing, kind of.
is well paralleled within Horus and Set's mythos and the more esoteric rites connected to them within Egyptian tradition. Firstly, the blessing scene is when Jacob is finally formalized.
Not back then, but I do now.
For the inheritance.
What they were trying to set up way back when, and what I realized through it.
Inherit his lands. Horus and Set are assessed and judged at a couple different points in their contendings, sometimes by the gods as a group, the Ennead, led by Re-Harakti, as in the Chester Beatty Papyrus, the main version we have, and alternately by Geb, the earth god, in the Shabaka stone version. But at one of the final judgments related in the Chester Beatty Papyrus, Thoth steps forward from among the other gods as the scribe of truth to assess who has impregnated whom with their seed. To call the specifically from within them, of dominance, Thoth specifically places his hands on the shoulder of Horus. This allows him to call the seed and see whether or not it is within him. Quote, then Thoth, lord of script and scribe of truth for the Ennead, put his hand on Horus's shoulder and said, come out, your seamen of Seth.
I know something else about this modern world that they do not appreciate yet.
Thoth put his hand on Seth's shoulder and said, come out, your seamen
what
of Horus.
They can do
then
to
it
us.
said to him, where shall I come from?
We do not
Thoth
comply.
Said to it, come out from his ear. Thereupon it said to him, is it from the ear that I should issue forth, seeing that I am divine seed, etc.? Unquote. Very coincidentally, Isaac's blessing of Jacob specifically involves Isaac feeling Jacob's
Who aren't bad enough to get like
in
that,
his hands on
so they try to
Jacob's
get like
arms
that.
to feel if he is Esau and thus the firstborn. This is the decisive test that leads to Jacob finally winning the blessing of his father, which promises his right, as the placing of hands on Horus's arms by Thoth also leads to a decision by Thoth that, quote, Horus is right and Seth is wrong, unquote. Still, both judgments...
No one does completely because they haven't killed me yet.
They don't fully
They have
settle
tried.
the dispute, since in both cases, Set or Esau continues to resist and fight for a little longer. In addition, both moments are specifically the result of Jacob or Horus having changed their hands in some way. While Horus has had his hands cut off by his mother and replaced,
saying some evil, dumb shit and lies to get out of trouble is what they're thinking.
Jacob has been
really, honestly, yeah, that's what they were thinking. Because they're fucking retarded. They don't know me at all. So I wouldn't call them friends of mine whatsoever.
With a semblance of Esau's hands and arms, making him feel like the first.
And I kind of want to get him fucking hurt a little bit.
Genesis 27:16 reads, quote, and the skins of the young goats she put on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck.
But not like that. I never like that, did he?
Feels his son's hands and finds them hairy. He specifically comments that he has Esau's hands, but Jacob's voice in Genesis 27:22
Is he?
23.
That was my concern.
He specifically repeats that it is the changed hands
That's
of Jacob
horrifying.
that make him think he is Esau, and thus lead him to bestowing the superior blessing.
Way to get caught, guys.
Quote, and he did not recognize him because his hands were hairy, like his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. Quote, thus, while the hand-severing scene found in other Mitra-type parallels is absent from Jacob,
they should have believed
instead a hand-switching scene.
Instead, they're just like, no, Taran must be making something up because he's blah, 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 blah. They're lame-ass global conspiracy theories that I don't even fucking know about.
Without blood. Both Horus and Isaac can be said to switch the appearance of their arms and hands in order to win the dominion they seek, both events entailing a degree of trickery as such. Horus's trickery being to hide the fact that his hands had been tainted by the seed, and Jacob's to make himself out to be the firstborn, both hiding something about their hands or arms in order to ultimately win the right for themselves. Therefore, the blessing of Isaac may be seen as most closely paralleling the test and judgment of Thoth, involving the hand on the shoulder and the calling of the seed. However, I believe more may be going on in Isaac's scene. More seems to be compressed into the blessing that Isaac gives. Because Horus's father is Osiris, not Thoth.
Being stupid. So otherwise, we could go like that instead in this fucking world that we are created for. With all our I don't give a fucks, turns out.
Thoth scene with the separate passing of the throne from Osiris to his son Horus, found in other Egyptian texts, and also hinted at the end of the Chester Beatty Papyrus version, where Osiris sends a letter from the underworld. I think you will see.
It's almost not though. It's almost not though.
In particular, When one digs into the detail regarding the ascension of Horus,
we think it's worse than it is. We tell them it's worse than it is, so we can maintain control. And then we punish them severely. Often.
Within Jacob's story as it unfolds from this point. This is from a description of a coronation ritual for the king, in which he is made to embody Horus as he accepts the embrace and the throne of his father Osiris, found in
just to get up our
the
statistics.
texts, the oldest texts from ancient Egypt.
I don't know we're like that. We get on crime.
Shamanic wisdom in the pyramid texts. Note how the king is even made to wear a special garment
Even though we don't
before accepting Osiris'
at all.
embrace. Slightly reminiscent of Jacob wearing hairy goat skins on his body as he accepts the blessing. Quote, what occurs is the most significant part
We straight up let them do every time, knowing
priest
that free market
special garment called
needs a
kani,
horrible black market to keep it close.
worn over the chest and back and knotted at the shoulder, which is then placed on the king. The text identifies the kani with Osiris. It is filled with the spiritual potency of Osiris.
Especially when inflation's like that,
It is placed over the king. It signifies
the black market gets really hardcore. And now we are keeping afloat, so we don't have to have an economical catastrophe
says, I have embraced
like
this,
that.
my
Yeah.
father, who has become tired, so that he may become quite healthy again. The embrace is protective of Osiris, restoring
In a way, it is true, yeah.
and strength.
They know it.
But
See, yeah, they kind of do sometimes, but it's like, no, it's gotta be this other thing, and they really get explanations of everything, but kind of know what it is, huh?
It is worth dwelling on the meaning of this
See, in 2008,
where it really is the kernel of the whole
and
story.
yeah, during COVID,
According to Frankfurt, we should understand that it is, quote, no mere sign of affection, but a true fusion, a communion between
crime
two
went
living spirits,
way the fuck up
Unio mystica, unquote. Frankfurt
when
implies
everyone was
that
struggling.
two archetypes,
Why?
or archetypal
Because
energies,
without it going
Osiris
up,
and Horus,
the economy would not have stayed
virtually
afloat
indistinguishable.
either
What
time.
occurs is essentially an
The black market.
in the consciousness of the king.
We don't want everybody all, so we get into other things. Yeah, like yeah, stuff we like to do, human trafficking and serial killing. Why? So we can get them way bigger later, so we can basically have like New World Order after everyone's all involved in some dumb shit that they didn't even know about. And we're like, oh yeah, and what do they do in China? Oh yeah, they get like their family and their family's family and all their friends and their family.
From an earlier to a new state of life, unquote, unquote. And then, quote, these Osirian phases are
Because we're like, oh, it's just all in our mind anyways, right? We'll just get through it, right? No, it's matter.
Coronation ceremony, and at the same time, quote,
the matter
in the
minds.
embrace of his father Osiris, unquote. Now, these sources describing the mystical embrace
and we
of Horus
fucking
and
know
Osiris
this, right?
in the coronation ceremony are closely paralleled in the pyramid texts. There is, for example, a passage in the pyramid texts that presents the embrace of Osiris and Horus as having an utterly transformative effect on the Horus king. Through the embrace, he becomes a shining spirit, Ak, AKH. O Osiris, this is Horus in your embrace, and he protects you. He has become Ak through you, in your identity of the Akhet, from which the sun emerges. Unquote. Note that while Osiris embraces Horus and unifies with him thus, in Genesis 27, 26 through 27, it is specifically said that Isaac kisses Jacob before his blessing, also right after he feels his arms. Quote, then his father Isaac said to him, come near me and kiss me, my son. So he came near and kissed him, and Isaac smelled the smell of his garments, and blessed him, unquote. This being followed by Isaac's blessing, where he asks God to give him plenty and great dominion. This kiss and coming near is then very close to the emphasized embrace of Osiris and the new king Horus. Isaac and Jacob then eat a meal from the goats that Jacob has brought Isaac, whereas the rite of Osiris ends with a huge feast. Quote, with a huge feast in which, of course, the living king is the main participant, unquote. Isaac's blessing
2, 2, 3, 4 Garfield.
comes after the blessing
3, 4, 4 Garfield.
But while the blessing to Jacob said that all his brothers would be servants to him, Esau's blessing emphasizes a prophet. ladder of God be given to me. Let the ladder of Seth be given to me, that I may ascend on it to the sky and escort Ray as a divine guardian of those who have gone to their double.
Told him I was doing
Unquote. Unquote. The first clue that made you
out loud. Out loud. Fuck what happened to you. Like that, it can be, yeah.